We are the weirdos, mister.
Is it finally time to talk about Blue Sky? Because I'm gonna talk about Blue Sky. Y'all, the migration is like making me laugh. Yes. Am I aware that there's like a 25% stake of Blue Sky that's owned by some Neanderthal who's awful? I am. It's social media. These days it's very difficult to like really, and I want to be on social media, so I'm just going to take what I can get. And for those of you who don't know, Blue Sky was created by the same dude who made Twitter. Twitter got sold to Musky Fusky Elon, and he destroyed the platform. And we all watched it happen, especially when we started watching like a lot of far right people who paid for Twitter and then were so excited that they couldn't be blocked anymore. But at first we were able to use the blue check marks to easily block people, right? We would just be like, bye, because we knew who you were. We knew what you wanted to do. And the real point of this isn't whether or not like you're a leftist or any of that, although, hi. The real point is if you don't want to engage with the cult of MAGA, you just don't want to engage with them, right? You just didn't want to. And yet no matter what you did, no matter what parts of Twitter you tried to go to, they were there, like having something to say and being weird and making everything uncomfortable. So enter stage left, Blue Sky. Basically, as soon as the election ended, which, by the way, yes, I was devastated, but I just really wasn't surprised. And I have on my Johnny Cash shirt today. I don't have a Tupac one, but I do have a Johnny Cash one. If you know, you know. Like for the longest time, the thing about Blue Sky too was that you couldn't just move over to Blue Sky. You had to be invited. It didn't really have an app at the time. It was very much web-based. So it was like difficult. And I think that I know that that was like a big reason why a lot of people did not thrive, because if you had to be invited and then there wasn't really an app and you couldn't, the functionality really wasn't there, you're just kind of like, Blue Sky, I guess I'll just stick with Twitter. Well, the results came in and people just started leaving X like hotcakes, like just running up. And let me tell you, I love Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky right now, hang out in Black Sky. People are really chill. It's very relaxed. And the most important thing is that I have the ability to block all of the MAGA, all of the far right very easily. There's block lists and you just subscribe to it and block. And then you're just like done. And people can keep adding onto it. My understanding is that people can keep adding other people onto it. So I just never see them. And it's phenomenal. It's fantastic even. And I like it because like, if I want to talk about politics, I'm talking about politics with people who have sense. That's all I can say about that. I'm talking about politics with people who have sense. I'm not talking to the people who like are getting red in the face, spittle flying as they like yell about trans people and identity politics, even though their entire identity is in fact Donald Trump. But they have started complaining because a lot of people has started like flocking over to Blue Sky. And of course, so too did they. They're coming over to Blue Sky, which is very weird to me because I'm like, don't y'all want to get rid of us? Oh wait, Twitter's not as much fun if you can't own the libs, right? But it once again solidifies for a lot of us the reality that people who their entire existence is quite literally owning the libs online, which is sad. Like you need to get a hobby, I swear. Please get a hobby. Please find something to do. Please do something that brings you joy, that isn't having to like own the libs, calling people snowflakes and yelling about amendments that you don't understand. We need y'all to find a hobby, because what's happened is now that they're all on Twitter in their perfectly crafted echo chamber, because like, here was my problem with Twitter. I couldn't even go into a comment thread and like read the comments and have a good time, because every other comment was in fact a ad, which I understand ads, but like every other one, come on. So when that takes place, I'm like really frustrated. I'm very annoyed. And I just start getting to this point where I'm just like, yo, I don't like this. And I didn't like the way that the Maggots, Maggotites, I know people say maggots and it just feels terrible for me to say that. It's not that I care about these people. It's just like, it feels awful to call people maggots. Maybe I saw that military movie one too many times. But the thing that I found fascinating is like when we leave and we're like, yeah, we gotta go, and we've all figured out ways to like not have to engage with them, now they're screaming that they're being like banned from Blue Sky, which is partially true. Most of it is that we are literally not interacting with them. Calling people bugs, no matter how bad they are, is a dangerous slippery slope to atrocities and things. I don't necessarily know that it's a slippery slope. I do think that when we call them maggots, it feels a lot like when you call men who behave badly boys. That's the only thing I can think of. When you call men who behave badly boys, you're removing the responsibility from them. Like, no, you're still a grown ass man. You're 45 and you're being a weirdo incel. Grow up, get some friends, find some hobbies, wash yourself, and talk to women like they're human beings. And I'm sure you could actually find a partner who would be interested in dating you. But when you say like, those aren't men, those are boys, you're taking away that responsibility. So there's this level of calling the cult of MAGA, which I prefer calling them like cult of MAGA or MAGA cult. There's a level of calling them maggots, which to me kind of removes the responsibility of their personhood from them. And I think what we're actually seeing in real time is the fuck around and find out stage, actually coming to terms in real time with the reality that people really don't want to fuck with them. When people said they weren't going to do that, they meant it. And I really think that they thought that that wasn't going to happen. They really thought people weren't going to want to withdraw from them, and they're seeing it happen. And you kind of, for me, in my opinion, watching what's going on, you have two sides of this. One, who their whole goal is just screaming at libs on the internet, or really three, screaming at libs on the internet, two, screaming at libs on the internet while making money, and three, those who like think that they're arguing in good faith or not, but they still want you to be their friend. I say this as someone who lives in Texas. I live in a very red state. I live in a state where before all of this cult of MAGA began, you could actually have a conversation with a Republican, which Republicans don't exist anymore. And I feel really bad for them because like true Republicans don't actually have a party anymore. And I don't know what they're going to do because this is like rough going for them. I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest, because they've lost their party to a cult. And that's a little rough. And I know some people will be like, they could just vote Democrat, but that's like really not how they're going to do things. But you could actually have conversations in the dive bars that I went to and agree on some things and disagree on others.
Yep.
Okay.
There was no yelling. There was no screaming. There was no spit flying. There was no like identity politics. Like that wasn't really happening. We were just like actually having conversations about policy. Like people actually learned this stuff and had conversations about it. Like you could talk about the military and how it changed from like serving your country to get a free college degree, which then in that case targets poor people who would otherwise not be able to go to college, which also targeted a lot of people who maybe had, you know, they weren't poor, but they didn't have a lot of money to be able to go to college. And this was a great way to go for free. And then when 9/11 happened, a lot of them resented the military because they didn't think that they were going to have to do any war shit because we hadn't been doing any war shit. And I know many people would say, then don't join the military if you don't want to do any war shit. But they were advertising it as war shit. They were advertising it as getting your degree. You see what I'm saying? So like, those are the things. We could have these conversations back and forth and it was fine. Now you can't even like breathe in these people's directions because they're immediately saying wild shit to you and you're like, I'm gonna back up now. You're being really weird and I don't like it. Before Trumpism took hold, people could actually be civil with one another and it just went downhill. You know, again, I wasn't surprised by the election. I just wasn't. I knew it was gonna go this way. I'm going to tell you an anecdote that might make some of you uncomfortable. So trigger warnings all ahead. But I've said this before, my ex-husband, alcoholic. And for most of our marriage, he was an alcoholic. I feel it was like the last 2 years that he had sobered up. But when he sobered up, we really weren't allowed to talk about, or I wasn't allowed to talk about the things that he had done that harmed me emotionally, physically, mentally, while he was deep in his addiction. And the whole time I'm just going, okay. And so I'm growing this like seething rage because I'm just like, I can't even talk about this. And who would I talk? Anybody? Who could I talk to about this? Like he did these things and I can't even tell him about it. And eventually like the marriage dissolves. And that's this country. They don't want to fix the things underneath that are causing all of these problems. I'm not normally a political girly, so sorry YouTube if you came for like my normal messiah of bullshit. I am going to throw this in here. Surprise, I gotcha. But it's very much this country that has this underlying issue of things and they don't want to solve them. They don't want to fix them. And they just keep trying to act like you can go forward without fixing them. And we just can't. And until we do that, this is where we are. Can't fix it. Civility can be a bit overrated though. We can't over depend on it as a goal concept. It can be. But I do think that there's a level in being passionate and heated versus yelling, screaming, spitting, being civil doesn't mean that you don't get heated. Being civil doesn't mean that you're not passionate, because I'm a very passionate person. Sometimes I'm yelling when I'm passionate, and I'm not actually trying to fight with you. I'm just very passionate. But being civil means being able to actually listen to each other and hear one another's arguments and have these conversations, like actually have a conversation. The civility that we don't have that now. You can't even explain things to people. And Ole said, from Ole and Friends, Ole Amy, I hope I'm saying that right. Please don't beat me. I'm sure she has never seen me before. She has never seen me before in her life. She won't see me after this. But even she said, like, these people were actively trying not to find this information. And now these people are trying to figure out if they can change their vote. I, in Texas, have been watching people who've had Trump signs up from jump. They're now putting them away because they're beginning to realize the embarrassment of the whole thing. They're recognizing that it's not what they thought, because they didn't want to do the research. I really think that people just thought this was like a joke. And it's like, no, this is an actual election. This is real life. I'm not sure what y'all thought was going on, but Black people were fighting for democracy and fighting to change and get this country back on the right track. And y'all were just like, you've been punked. You know what I mean? It was weird. So back to Blue Sky, we're seeing these people get upset because they're not getting their way, because they've been able to get their way on Elon's dusky, musky ass platform for a long time. He removed blocks. We weren't able to protect ourselves from these type of people anymore. Like, the whole point of blocking is that you don't want to engage with people. When you go over to Blue Sky, you have the mass block system, which again, these people are very much on the side of, I guess, standing on business that they're being banned before they even make an account. And that's not true. None of us are engaging with them. In real time, people are disengaging from the cult of MAGA. And they were not prepared for that to happen. They did not get the civil war they wanted. And I don't think that they were really prepared to see so many people actually just withdraw from them. We don't want them in our spaces. We don't want to talk to them online. We're no longer interested in having a polite debate, because it's not polite and it's not a debate. You cannot debate with somebody who is stupid. And I will say that 100,000 times. You cannot debate with somebody who's dumb. You can't talk to a brick wall. I mean, you can. It's not going to talk back. They want to feel and act the way they want without any thought to how it impacts others. Exactly. When you are moving in these ways, in these like little crafty ways where you have been given an echo chamber with which to yell and scream, which again, I'm going to take another side detour because that's what I do here. It's the reason why conservative dating websites and apps don't work out. Farmers Only does not have like a huge amount of people interacting. All the conservative apps for connecting, and they don't stay there because their entire form of being, their entire way of being is being able to make other people miserable. Like, their goal is that everybody else is uncomfortable while they're comfortable. The goal of a leftist is that everyone should be comfortable. We want everyone to be comfortable and happy as much as we can make that possible. But Trump Republicans cannot do that. They want you to be miserable because they don't like you, and for them to be happy. And they're not understanding that by stripping all of these things, their mediocrity is actually going to truly show, because you don't have DEI to blame anymore. And I knew in the 90s, listen, I knew we were cooked back then, just to like yet another aside. I knew we were cooked in the 90s as soon as I started seeing white gay Republicans. And I was like, oh, we are cooked. I'm not having children for sure. I'm definitely not having kids. Because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. And it turns out I was right. I hate being right sometimes. Do I though? No. But people on Blue Sky, we just want y'all to leave us the fuck alone. It's very interesting watching them come over and try to like be weird. So much so that they're trying to do weird shit like Trojan horse us. Not if you go in as a Trojan horse. We're still gonna block you. Somebody's gonna find out. We're still gonna add you to the block list. MAGAs are miserable and they want everyone else like them to be miserable too. Yeah, it's very weird. It's like, just enjoy your space. Isn't this what y'all wanted? Was for us to disappear? Well, we're disappearing. And now y'all can't stand it. The Blue Sky moderation tools are very strong. And the majority of them aren't being banned. And if they are, it's because they've done something against TOS. Because once again, I really need y'all to understand this. I'm going to look directly in your eye hole. And I know you're going to look away because I'm Black and I'm a woman and I'm queer and I have disabilities like ADHD and autism and EDS. But I'm going to once again tell you that freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. We don't have to listen to you spew your bullshit. We literally don't. You're saying things that don't make sense. And we don't have to listen to you. Just because we don't want to talk to you doesn't mean you're being banned. It means we've made our choice, and our choice is not to engage with you. Leave us alone. Go to your special corner, wear your pointy hat, and leave us alone. Thank you. So AOC, she's on BlueSky. She said, one thing I find interesting about the echo chamber complaint is that an echo chamber just won a presidential election. Put aside the convo of whether it's good or bad for a moment. The far right has devoted enormous resources and time to building echo chambers and loathes spaces they don't control. And that's where we are with BlueSky right now. They're very upset that they can't get over there and control it. My main thing that's weird is, why are you coming over here? Because I found this also on Reddit, and it says Elon Musk buying Twitter was important to them because it gave the weird MAGA yokels a voice. $10 a month, and instantly their idiotic helicopter joke humor and low IQ takes were magically at the top of conversations when for years they were at the bottom. Suddenly, anti-woke culture was algorithmically prioritized at a global audience. Now that mainstream users are evacuating, they're paying that $10 a month to talk to bots, and normal people no longer have to listen to them. They're going back to not mattering, and it's killing them. And that's where we are. The real reason I wanted to talk about BlueSky and the way that people are migrating away from it, as well as the way that MAGA people are so upset that they can't infiltrate this, is because they're really not understanding that we didn't want to engage with you in the first place. And at first we were thinking like, maybe you just didn't understand how things work. Maybe you were confused about something. But then we began to realize like, no, you're just not that smart, and we're kind of done dealing with y'all. We don't want to. And on Twitter, we could not find all the ways that we wanted to be able to avoid you. And now we can, and we're gonna keep trying to avoid you at every turn. And the fact that some of you want to Trojan horse your way in and pretend you're queer or whatever it is so that you can engage with us on BlueSky, it's really weird behavior, and y'all need to seek help. I'm so serious. You need to talk to somebody about this, because I in no way go out of my way to see what y'all are up to. Like, I don't care anymore. Y'all won the election, but you're mad because you didn't get to have your race war. Sorry, Black people already knew how that was gonna go. We're not gonna be on the front lines. We're not about to get shot even more. So like, what do you mean? And it's just interesting watching the fuck around and find out happen. FAFO is going wild, and they don't really know how to handle it. I think that the people who thought that their family members, when they said, if you vote for Trump, I'm not going to speak to you again, thought that they were kidding. They're finding out that that is not true. People on social media finding out that like loads of people have discovered who they're following, and that they're following Donald Trump, that they're following JD Vance, and unfollowing them. Really finding out that people will not fuck with you because of that. And if that makes me be in an echo chamber, that's fine. I'd rather be in a chamber of people who have like minds and we want to do things to make this country move forward and be better than be in a place of people who just have so much hate and anger and vitriol that like that's all they've got. So that's it. You know, I'm not normally a political girly. I'm not going to say I won't do it again, because then that would make me a liar. You know what I'm saying? But like, I won't do it often. This is for YouTube. Hi, I'm Audra. If you want to subscribe. If you want to like the video. You don't have to do either one of those things. I appreciate it if you do. And until next time, I am so pretty, and so are you.